incredible music to open the show. Just really gets the vibe right. I'm Tex Homer. That's Coach Dub, Eric Nalin, and this is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. We're going to talk about all the awesome offseason intel Eric's been dropping just day after day after day. Nuggets, good stuff. And you know where you can read it. Inside Texas, and you know how you can get it for only $1. New members, come hang out. This is going to be a wild time. We are technically still in season, but we are in on season right now, and things are already going to move. See people that could portal out, all that stuff, coaching, whatever. Stay locked in. Hi guys,
what up?
First things first, let's talk the prestigious Cheez-Its Citrus Bowl grab. It's actually, for a non-playoff bowl, it's a good bowl. So that'll be nice. New Year's Eve day, which will also be nice, right? You'll at least get to count down the clock with your people. So that's nice. And then Michigan, that's a money game. It's a brand game. It does feel like we play the same teams over and over now. But what are your first thoughts on Michigan?
Oh, man. Repeat. I want to see – I'm looking forward to playing against Andrew Marsh. How about that? A guy maybe could have been in a Longhorn uniform. I know Eric was high on him, but that kid's a baller, man. He's an absolute stud. But it's a national brand, Texas versus Michigan. I know you, like you said, we played them before and all of that, but at the same time, like at least I feel like we'll get a good bowl game out of it, right? It won't be one of those where Texas just kind of runs through somebody. So we'll see.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm excited about it, but hell, I looked into going. My wife just has to work on the 2nd, so I'm not going to go out there for such a short trip. But it's going to be a good prestige sort of game. I think it's going to get, just because of the brands involved, it's going to get a lot of hype around it. The quarterbacks, of course, they've got very talented quarterbacks. I know, you think Arch Manning struggled at times this year. Bryce Underwood certainly struggled a lot this year. But yeah, I do want to see Andrew Marsh. Hopefully they pay as close attention to him as they did Matthew Golden a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. It's really hard to analyze these teams because you don't know which rosters you're going to be dealing with and then how hard everyone tries and all that. But as we get closer to Michigan, we'll know much more about who's playing on both sides of the ball so we can break them down.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of opt-outs for Texas. Anthony Hill, he's not going to play, but maybe Manny Muhammad, but I don't know, man. Manny Muhammad could use some more tape, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of opt-outs. So Texas, that's part of the problem, right? There aren't a lot of guys for Texas to opt out. It's a younger team, as I wrote about the other day. It's an inexperienced team. It's gaining a lot of valued experience this year. So there's just not a lot of opt-outs, and that kind of explains a lot of what happened this season.
Yeah, not a lot of guys go in the NFL, and guess what? 9-3. So that makes sense. Eric, do you want to start with the over-under on transfer portal, or you want to do the offseason intel piece?
Let's do the over-under on the exports, since, of course, we've got some activity this morning already.
All right, absolutely. Let's start first things first with just the two that have announced. CJ Baxter goes in the portal. Thoughts there. Awesome guy. He's been a great representative. Gets hurt, and then just it doesn't come back like it should have. It was an awesome prospect. It's a bummer, but it's one of those players that you're like, hey, man, genuinely hope the best for you wherever you land. Hope you're able to ball out.
Man, that's tough, man. I like CJ Baxter as a person, but, at the end of the day, I guess it's a business when it comes down to it. I thought he started to come on at the end of his freshman year, and unfortunately he got hurt. I mean, I don't think he ever got back to form whatsoever. And so, you hate to see him go, but because I feel like he's a great locker room guy, and sometimes you really, really need that. But at the same time, I understand you need more productivity at the position, so you got to replace him with other bodies who can.
When he got hurt, I got a text message that day. It says, I'm not sure we're ever going to see this guy play for Texas again, just because at that time they liked the younger guys that they brought in as well, Christian Clark, namely, and Jarrett Gibson at the time. And then Clark got hurt a week later. And so it's just, I think they had that injury figured out fairly well, the damage that it was going to do long term, but maybe they didn't have the best game plan for that reality of him not getting his step back. It really is unfortunate, because I think I was actually higher on him based on his freshman year than I think a lot of people. I could see some of that giddy up in that size. He had a touchdown run against U of H that I could still play through my mind. He looked really good on it. And, of course, we saw the burst against in the playoffs too, against Washington, even though that, he had that fumble too. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Some people are going to call him a bust. You can never call a guy a bust that has such a bad injury like that. It's just not how it works out. So hopefully he lands on his feet somewhere and, go get a good degree, but also go make some memories. He could still be a good short yardage back for somebody.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if he heads back to Florida. Not Florida, but the state of Florida. And then Trey Owens, quarterback. Not a shocker if you're on IT. I think we did a short a couple months ago saying that we expected that to happen. Just a change in what Sark was looking for in quarterback. Of course, you bring in Arch, you bring in some other types, but all those types are mobile. And Trey was more of a pocket passer, good arm guy, but just didn't have the running ability. So Sark kind of switched it up on him what he was looking for after he was on campus.
The worst thing for Trey was Quinn Ewers' struggles in the pocket and the red zone issues. That was the biggest issue. It was like, hey, look, they fixed red zone. They've got a quarterback that can run it. That's it. What does Arch have? 8 touchdowns?
Yeah, we're still not running it up the middle. Everything's still perimeter.
Yeah. Arch, I think, has 8 rushing touchdowns, and that's your solve for red zone right there. So yeah, Trey Owens just had really bad timing, and it's gonna be interesting to see where he lands in the portal because he does need to go to a certain type of offense. I'd like to see him in an air raid where he just drop back and let it rip. Hopefully he gets some good suitors, and hopefully he finds a good home because he's got a heck of an arm, man. He can throw it.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Any thoughts there, Coach?
I don't know, man. Like, it's just I don't know, the price of doing business. It's tough when you change up like that. I just feel like Eric said, kid won't fit what's going forward as far as the quarterback room, what Sark is looking for. You got to have guys who can run. And I think they've seen so much success with that. You see all the guys he's recruiting, all of them can take off and run. So he had a good showing in the spring game, showed his arm. I know he doesn't have much film, but somebody's going to get a really good quarterback. I think, with the strong arm, somebody's going to find a home. He's going to find himself a home, and I feel like, maybe go to, like you said, a more of a spread, maybe veer and shoot, where you can just let that thing go. And I think he'll fit in that offense well.
Yeah. Another one, wish him the best. Okay, now we're going to do your over-under here. I won't throw it up on the screen, but we'll go position. And you're just going to say kind of what you're projecting or predicting as far as exports. So for the quarterback room, Trey Owens is entering the portal. What's your prediction leaving that room?
Just one. I mean, it's KJ's not going anywhere. You got Diabell coming in. Arch isn't going anywhere, I think, most importantly. So yeah, just one. That some of these I predict, and sometimes some of them I'm just telling you who's leaving in some of these position groups.
Would you predict a portal import?
Yeah, I think because you always want to have 4. Diabell, there's so much variance in what to expect from him. He missed his entire senior season. Could he be a credible third string? I don't think he's going to push KJ Lacey all that much because Lacey has a good command of the offense already, and that goes a long way with Sark. So I do want to see if they could find another Matthew Caldwell. There's no way they're going to find another Matthew Caldwell. I don't think they could get lucky that twice in a row. But that's what they need to be looking for.
He's out of eligibility, Caldwell?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they just find, unless he gets the long COVID like Max Johnson or whatever. I don't know. Max Johnson is still bouncing around.
Caldwell, go to court, man. They'll grant you a year automatically.
Yeah. Caldwell should if Caldwell had another year, he should bounce and go play somewhere.
He should. But, man, shout out Caldwell. One of the most ice cold. I mean, that'll be remembered forever in Texas fandom just for showing up and dropping an absolute dime. All right, running back. Of course, we lose CJ Baxter. Eric, how many are you predicting in total will head out?
2, CJ Baxter and Ricky Stewart. Now, they still have work to do. I think getting Christian Clark and James Simon back. I know people are down on Clark. That's fine. It's a good time to buy. He's a talented guy. They've seen lots of like him in practice, but it just tells you a lot, shows fans a lot about running with conviction and certainty. You lose your athleticism when you're kind of uncertain where to go. A lot of playing running back is just being decisive, and Christian Clark has been more decisive at times in practice than what we've seen in games, and that's when you see his athleticism come to bear. So we have not seen the best of Christian Clark. I do expect that he'll be back, but they'd have a little bit of work to do. And then James Simon, somebody mentioned they want to see James Simon get a lot of carries against Michigan. Here, man, I'm with you on that. James Simon's a talented all-around back, 3-down back, good hands, can run it inside or outside. So, yeah, they do need to get these guys developed. They do have talent, but then, of course, we know that they've got to go portal as well.
There's somebody that you mentioned that you do expect to stay, but –
Trey Weiser. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, what does Trey value? What does Trey's agent value Trey at? What does Texas value Trey at? Obviously, they love what he brings to the table. He's a rival slayer. He sets the tone in practice. He's one of the tougher guys on the team. He's got that versatility. But here's what I think and what I said to the group this morning is, they need to have a hard conversation with him. He probably needs to be the third down back or the second running back. They got to bring in a guy to compete. You're not just going to be handed anything. You bring a lot of value to the program outside of running back. We appreciate that. And here's what we have to offer you. Hopefully he's okay with that. But, if not, he wants to go start somewhere, be guaranteed a place to start. I'm going to be interested to see how that goes. So, they've got to bring in you've shared his advanced statistics. I don't know if you've shared them on the channel, but you shared them behind the scenes, and they're not great now. Obviously, the offensive line was terrible this season. But some of his advanced stats weren't all that great last year either, despite the 1,000-yard rushing season. So I hope he's back, but that's kind of a wait and see thing, depending on A, what are they looking for out of NIL, and B, who does Texas bring in?
Yeah, I think Wiseman could get drafted on the role that he succeeded at the first 2 years. Special teams started down back. Like, you can get drafted that way, and it preserves your body. You don't have to take all the hits, right? And the fresher he is, the better he looks. So if he kind of goes back and he settles in that role, I think he has a chance of getting drafted. I wouldn't leave.
Yeah, he should come back, be third down back, say, hey, I want to be on special teams, which he's always wanted to be on special teams. That's how he made his mark to start. Go block a kick or two, and then NFL teams really start to see when they get narrow on those last couple of cuts. So like this guy, hey, he can be an emergency back. He's good. He can catch out of the backfield. Look at how long a career Chris Ogbenaya had. And then he does a lot of things on special teams. You're almost getting your roster up to 55 with the amount of things that he can do for you. So there's value add, but he needs to come back and show it that he can do it at Texas.
Yeah, anytime you watch Hard Knocks, right, when it's down to cut guys, it's like who blocked a punt in preseason, who did it. It's all that's what it always comes. If you want those last spots, you got to make an impact during the preseason. That's for sure. Like the Hawking kids from North Texas. I wonder if he follows Morris to OSU. I'm in Denton, so I've been able to pay attention to him. He's an awesome back.
He's 6'2", 200. I do wonder about him running it between the tackles. Better drop them pads on people.
Yeah, but that whole offense has been fun.
Big target.
And then shout out Neil Brown, man. Welcome, brother. All right, let's see. We need a higher ceiling type guy. Yeah, we need a number one. And then we can figure everything out after that, in my opinion. Simon's a must keep for me, though. All right. Wide receiver, we got an over or under of 2.5 here. Eric.
A tough one here because this is a tougher one because it could be 1, it could be 3. DeAndre Moore, it's kind of in the Trey Wisner boat. What does his agent value him at, and what does Texas value him at? That's a negotiation. It's all business. Texas loves both those guys. Moore, Wisner, I kind of hate these things are out in the open, but it's just the nature of the business these days.
New world.
Yeah. So, Trey or DeAndre almost left last January, and maybe he sees greener pastures. You never know. Another one we're watching is Aaron Butler. Butler's, like 10th guy in the room right now, so that's not great. And then Jamie French. Jamie French has come a long way in the last couple months.
Cool.
He was on scout team, and then he gets brought up to the regular team. Everybody asks about him. What's the problem with him? It's just that offense is not easy to pick up, and he came in the most raw out of Dalen McCutcheon and Khalid Lockett, and that just kind of tells the story. So another big offseason, and maybe he catches right up. So I'm curious to see how that one plays out. But those are the 3 that I see that could entertain it. But then you never know in the portal day and age. Somebody you could have your value on one guy, and another team comes in and blows them away with an offer. And then also one thing to watch there, I forgot to put this in the articles. Yeah, we are watching to see what happens with Chris Jackson. I put that in an article the other day. Saturday, I think I wrote about potential coaches that could leave. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, as you can tell. It was a lot of Monday content going on Inside Texas this weekend, just because there's so much going on. So if they you lose Chris Jackson, that could change numbers as well.
Yeah, and then how does the Chris Henry sweepstakes? How does that play into it? Is that player? If I'm a player, I'd be like, you just were about to pay for Chris Henry, right? That would be my kind of thing. But also, the flip side is like, well, do you repurpose that money? Are they?
Yeah, well, I mean, they can look at Chris Henry all they want. I mean, at one point they're a coveted recruit too. I mean, that's whatever. I don't know what good that does. I wouldn't go after that money if I were them, because the whole point is to bring in another talent, not to just repurchase that money throughout the roster. That doesn't add any value to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they Chris Henry tells us that they're willing to be quite aggressive, but that's also different than the portal because that was a 3-year acquisition rather than a 1-year acquisition.
Yeah, true.
So, if DeAndre Moore goes somewhere else, they would repurpose that money and maybe roll a little bit extra in. Who knows? I don't know the exact finances, and then try to find somebody else that's maybe more of a difference maker. I tend to think, if they get good offensive line play and Sark has the right approach for the pieces he has on offense next year, that any one of those wide receivers could have a big year, and all of them, I think, in aggregate, will play well together. So I hope they're back, but if DeAndre Moore has other ideas, then I'd be curious to see who they target.
Yeah, it's kind of tough for Moore because Arch didn't really give him a chance earlier in the season. He was bouncing everything off the pavement. Then he has the big Arkansas game, right? And then he has drops. So it's like he didn't do himself he did himself favors right at the end and then started dropping. But I have a little bit more sympathy for Moore because he's going into this season thinking he's going to showcase for the NFL. Yeah. And then the offense just doesn't work the first half of the year. So I'm not angry at Moore here. I understand it's kind of a unique situation for him.
It is. You look at the receiver room, look at Parker Livingston. He's the redshirt freshman this year. Mosley, true sophomore, and then Wingo be a junior next year. Like, they're going to be even better than next year, right? Yeah. So if you got those 2 or 3 guys, you still got the tight end room who's, talented. I mean, you got a lot of guys in there. You had Dalen McCutcheon, who you already trust as a freshman to see the field. So if Moore does leave, you find what value you have on your roster and say, okay, I can make it work with these guys. They're not like scrubs. They can actually play and beat people consistently. So do you have to go get a number one? If Moore leaves, maybe if you want to, but you don't really need to. Honestly, you can fix everything else around them.
Experience in this offense goes further than it does in a lot of other offenses. That once you get it right in this offense, there's just a lot more adjustments to make and a lot of different concepts within the scheme that Sark can take advantage of once these guys have more experience and are making the right reads in real time. And I think there's going to be a lot of upside in that room that I don't think we've seen yet. I'm excited about that group, and would like somebody said DeAndre Moore was negotiating right before he signed with Texas. Case Sankey here is in a different comment, and he's exactly right. That one came down to the wire with Louisville. He's committed to Louisville for a while.
You remember that offseason? They were going hard that offseason. They had Reuben Owens too, right?
Yep. And then and DeAndre was negotiating last January. So when these people are when they're like that, you just kind of assume it's going to happen again, and then we'll see what Texas's response will be.
Yeah. Wingo, Mosley, Livingston, just by themselves, sets a very solid floor with a good ceiling. With one difference maker and better O-line play, talking Heisman season for Arch potentially. So this is what I think. This is an awesome floor. Get you number one. And then I feel real good. Because right now I feel good. I want to feel great.
Yeah.
About the wide receiver room.
I want to feel great too going into next season. But yeah, I mean, those guys, one of those guys could become a number one too. And then you have 2 number ones basically. Yeah. We don't talk about Livingston enough. I think he averaged 19 yards a catch.
Yeah.
This season.
He made big catches. He made hard catches on the sidelines. But man, the real scary teams, they don't just have one dominant receiver. Once you have 2 dominant receivers, now your ceiling is pretty wild. So I would expect one of these guys to rise, but it'd be awesome to have a sure thing and then a riser. Tight end, over, under at 1.5.
Yeah, Will Randall, I believe he's going to go. I could see him going to Tulane. His brother's in this 2026 Tulane class, an exciting white at running back. So I can see that. I don't know. I think that's probably the only one. I would probably just predict him. Just, the way the coaches were talking, Sark talking last week, didn't sound like tight end was on the agenda. The most pressing matter to me is just make sure that you get Jack Endries back.
Yeah,
Jack Endries is the bridge to Nick Townsend greatness. We need Jack while Nick continues to develop. Also, those guys could be a fantastic receiving duo out there. So you need to get Endries back. Didn't have the year that I know he didn't have the year that he was hoping for, just based on what Sanders had done before him and Helm had done before him. But that A&M game, you sure saw what could be with A&M focusing on the receivers quite a bit. And the more dangerous those receivers, which they are going to be more dangerous next year, the easier it's going to be for Jack Endries to find space. So I think that's an easy sell. He's a smart kid. This is what it's going to look like next year. Sorry, it didn't look exactly like that this year, but we're turning in the right direction based on our last game.
Yeah, it's just if he trusts us. Because he came in this year thinking he was going to be able to showcase. It didn't happen. The 2 games that we did game plan for him, he balled out.
Yeah, he did.
So, man, I hope he comes back. Forgive us. And then Sark was like, here you go, man. Please come back with that final game plan, which I thought was important. We still got to fix the lack of consistency and discipline. Nothing else matters if you don't have it. Look at Indiana. We are just as talented, but that team is disciplined.
Yeah, Texas is talented there. Texas is way more talented than Indiana.
way
more.
But it shows what discipline can do, right? So I agree, man. If you have all these good players, but all these penalties are going on, I agree. lot of, and we'll talk about that. We got an off season. I mean, no one's saying that it was a superior coaching job necessarily this season.
Not at all. Indiana, it was. I mean, it really stood out how well coached that team was.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep in like the third quarter, and I woke up and I was like, no way, dude, they won. That's awesome. It doesn't
they had their own Parker Livingstone out there and Charlie Decker out there running by Ohio State DBs. So you don't need the greatest receiving core if you're well coached and play within your scheme.
Well, and Ohio State looks a little front runnery to me, and they're like overly conservative. Well, I have to see what they do. You know, Ryan Day after his loss last year went Super Saiyan, but I don't know, man.
I'm not a believer in Ohio State. I'm just not a believer in anybody being able to really test them outside of maybe Georgia. I
think dude, if Georgia keeps playing like that, I think they're your champion. Because just the difference in like physicality and all that stuff versus Alabama, it's just somebody was ready to play and somebody was not looking ready to play. It was a huge difference. And of course, Georgia finds their gear versus us. And since then, now they get sacks. I'm not even evaluating Georgia's previous season anymore. I'm just talking about they're going to get 30% better after they play, or during when they play us is a big factor. All right, next up is going to be offensive line. But guess what? You guys are getting cliffhangered hard right now, because I know you guys are going to want to hear that. So first things first, let's hear from Academy Sports and Outdoors. The holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every day. Shop in-store or online at academy.com to save on gifts on everybody's list. From football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands, the most wonderful time of the year happens here. This Christmas, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors. All right, gentlemen's offensive line. People were already talking about it earlier, but
yeah,
it's a big one. Over under right now is set at 2.5.
Yeah, this is just exports. Obviously they don't need to lose as many because they didn't take a big offensive line class. There's still room. There's still a lot of play in the joints to bring in bodies. This is a tough one to figure out because we know of a couple guys that want to leave or have talked about leaving, but also we don't know how hard the coaches are going to try to keep them, or if they're going to try to massage other players out. There's just so many bodies in that room; it's hard to know. At the same time, I mean, I'm still not 100% sure Kyle Flood will be back. So there's a lot of moving parts, but they've got. I'm not too worried about who they process or massage out. I'm much more worried about who they bring in. They've got a couple really, really exciting lines in the water that we've heard of from, not necessarily from Texas sources, but people that are kind of in the NIL world. So I'm curious to see who they bring in. Not too worried about who they lose because whatever, man, they need guys developing anyways. They need guys to keep developing because you want to play offensive linemen when they're juniors and seniors. They've got a lot of young guys that we don't really know entirely what they're going to be long term. So just bring in some elder statesmen, some experienced players. Experience goes a long way. I wrote a long article about the value of experience. All the best coaches are the ones that are known for development are the ones that have the oldest position groups, and that's not a coincidence. So they need more age in that room. They need more experience, and so 2 guards, maybe a center guard that can compete with. They can compete with Connor Robertson. First of all, I'm not 100% sure Connor Robertson is back. Well, his actions after the game against A&M looked like he might have been saying goodbye to football in general. So I still need to make sure that he's coming back. But they need a guard center no matter what to add depth at guard or at center or potentially start at either spot.
Yeah, I think that's the most experience-sensitive position in football.
Yeah,
and that's a big thing. So we have. Let me see. Make sure we hit all your points on here. What about our left tackle, Eric?
Oh, well, I think Trevor Gooseby is going to be back. We've been saying that since, I don't know, early November, maybe even before then. His brother committing to play basketball at Texas that's what we call foreshadowing in the writing world. things were already looking better for Texas and Trevor to come back. Look, the guy can go in the NFL, get drafted, maybe even go in the first round this year, but they want him to be able to hit the ground running and be as prepared as possible for success. And at the same time, yeah, they're gonna handle up on some NIL and be taken care of in that regard. So some people are like, well, hey, get him back. That saves money to use a guard. No, it's not. It's not going to save money to get Trevor Goosby back. It's not. But
it's worth it.
But yeah, if you can go into if you can go into the portal window with your tackle set, because I don't think they're going to upgrade Brandon Baker. I would never rule anything out, but it would be surprising if they could do that. And you're only worrying about guards and centers, which are a lot more cost effective. That's a pretty good place to be in, especially given how grave the O-line needs are. You need O-line, but most of them are interior. That's not normally how it works.
True. Hey, Homer, what do you always say? Leave nothing to chance, right? Hey, look, I'm gonna give me another tackle just in case. I ain't taking any chances. We saw what happened with injuries coming into fall camp in the summer. Like we lost some people due to injury, so you can't never have too many offensive linemen in the room.
That's why, like, whenever we talk some positions, like me and Ian were talking about it. I want 4 offensive linemen. He wants 3, and so he's like 3 because I think it'll do. And I'm like, first off, just the odds of you nailing every eval is unlikely. So like one person won't pan out, but also injuries. You almost have to overstock. Now, of course, this is not my money, so it's easy, but it's like there's that thing too. Like if you get just enough and you have to nail all evals and no one can get hurt, you're not in a great position there. We're pretty lucky on the offensive line for injuries, but if you look at it seems like every week when we're breaking down a team, we're like their starting left tackle's out, their star right guard is out. We've been a little lucky there, but those guys do normally go down for significant parts of the season.
If you could take 5 defensive tackles last cycle, you could take 4 offensive linemen this cycle. They need a tackle guard, 2 guards, and a guard center. And yeah, then you can let it rip. But yeah, Sark said, hey, we miscalibrated. We didn't think, we thought we needed 5 DL, last year. They didn't even take 5 DL. They took 5 defensive tackles alone.
Yeah.
For a 2-man position group. Now you've got a 5-man position group. It's time to really load up.
Yeah, 100%. And then people are asking about some players, Lacey or Ba. I would love me some Jane Ba.
Ba's not happening at all. That kid's not a paper chaser. He's going to stay at Florida. He's not going anywhere. Kawan's interesting. Kawan played at Lancaster. Chris Gilbert is at Texas right now, who was the head coach at Lancaster. Not when Kawan was there, but still, Gilbert's the man in that area. So that could help. Also, Lane going to LSU. LSU already has a couple running backs. So, yeah, maybe that worked. I like that kid out of high school. Is he the best option? I don't know. I think people are familiar with him because he plays at a pretty high-profile program and he produced there. That doesn't mean he's the best option. There could be an Ahmad Hardy out there that we're not talking about because Texas didn't play that team. Go find Ahmad Hardy because Ahmad Hardy is an 10-year NFL back. So let's go find that guy.
It was so obvious. Like, that was what was so frustrating. Like, as I'm breaking down, I'm like, that kid, I'll surprised if he makes it the whole season at ULM. Like, this kid is a no-brainer, incredible-looking running back.
Yeah, and he really looked the part going up against SEC competition man. If you could blink your eyes and take that run game and that running back from Missouri – It would crush our one of my favorite posters on IT. Go Horns, go! But man, he might be all right with that trade. But
what do y'all think? Y'all are personnel guys. What is the easiest position to project up a level? To me, I think running back has to be top 2.
Are you talking about like in college? From college
yeah. Like not high school, like G5 to Power 5.
I don't know. Depends on where they come from. You can tell some traits of a running back has it or not. It's kind of easy to see if they're going to translate.
I think it's easy to see
into the next level because a lot of times either those guys transfer down. Like you can see it in their vision or their patient, or they're in the zone scheme, or they letting their block set up and then hitting a hole, or if it's a power, or they just hitting it with they got great pad level, like or they separating, or they running away from guys at the G5 level. Like it's easy to gauge if a guy can play. The Power 4 program from G5 easily.
Yeah, I remember seeing Ramondre Stevenson's JUCO tape and going, sign me the hell up for this guy. He ended up going to OU. He's been with the Patriots forever. Sometimes it's just pretty obvious, but every position can have a guy that's obvious. Sometimes it's a wide receiver.
I just think consistently, because I have such an elite eye, It's really just running back for me is like crystal clear. I like whenever I see them like that position for some reason.
Well, go find Texas one, and we'll submit it.
I've been working, dude.
We'll shoot it up the ladder.
Hawkins, check them out. All right, that is the offense. Let's talk about the defense. Edge, we have an over and under 0.5, half a human being here. So what do you think that means, Eric?
If I guess one, then it's a push, right? You can't win the bet. So I'm watching one. I don't want to say his name because it's, you can do process of elimination and probably figure it out yourself. I just want more corroboration on it. It's a stacked room. Like there's no dead weight in there. It's all NFL upside. We'll see what that guy does. I would prefer he's back, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if he's not. One thing to watch is they are looking portal at edge for a younger guy. So that maybe a couple of weeks ago we didn't think they were in the market because it's a pretty expensive room. You got Colin Simmons, that's a lot right there, and then Lance Jackson they got some talent in there. They'll look at portal, maybe a young buck. They didn't sign a buck in this class. The buck is the Colin Simmons position.
A literal buck.
Yeah, so they're looking in that regard. So that'll be interesting. But numbers are fine and talent is great. I'm really excited about that room next year.
I know he has linebacker under his name as a recruit, but you put Kosak Paula at buck. I think, man, he has a chance to be really special coming off the edge, man. I want to see how he develops, but I love him a lot.
Yeah, they've got kind of a good assembly line there where Colin Simmons is going to demand most of the snaps there, and you've got Brad Spence that functions there as well as linebacker. But then you got two young guys. Smith Orogbo is apparently developing pretty well. And then I'm with you, man. I don't like trying to retrofit an edge into linebacker. It didn't really work for Trey Moore. It worked as far as, okay, we can get by. And Trey Moore has next level football IQ to even be able to do that.
I said that in the offseason, by the way, that wasn't going to work.
Yeah. And it worked well enough against A&M for the first half.
Yeah.
And then you got Brad Spence doing that same. It's hard when you see these guys that are blurs off the edge. It took Malik Jefferson a while to learn how to play linebacker. He didn't really start balling until he flashed a lot as a freshman. Don't get me wrong. Had a bit of a sophomore slump and then balled out as a junior. Would have been amazing as a senior. But it took a little bit of time coming from the edge. We saw that same issue with Jeffrey McCullough playing edge and then going off-ball linebacker. There's a transition period. So, I don't know, man. Kosi has really natural pass rushing skills. I'm with Charlie on that one. I wrote an article about it, called him the next Trey or Brad Spence, but I would just leave him at edge and find you some real off-ball linebackers.
Well, the coaches screwed this up because the 3-4 is like, well, he's an outside linebacker. So fans think it's like it's really a linebacker. It's not. It's a completely different thing, man. Like rushing the passer or dropping to the flat, those are their two responsibilities.
Yeah.
The linebacker is entirely different on what they have to do. An edge is not dropping the seams and stuff like that and having to carry crossers. So
this goes back a long way. This goes back. Lawrence Taylor is viewed as an outside linebacker. Derek Thomas, outside linebacker. Those guys were defensive ends, man.
True. Yeah, right. And it's like a linebacker can go play edge because edge is it's an athleticism position. It's a simpler position. So, but it doesn't work in reverse like that. That's why I thought it was super weird.
Kevin Green was an outside linebacker. Kevin Green was a freaking defensive end, man. TJ Watt, same thing.
Yeah. Defensive tackle, over under 0.5. Once again, you start off with some real cool news up top, though.
Is that about Hero?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Hero Canu's back. He's got a really good relationship with Torrey Becton, and I think Lealon Clark as well. Likes it at Texas, and you got to get him back. He'd probably only be 5th or 6th rounder, maybe, but come back, be 2nd or 3rd round. They've got a good history getting the guys back and getting them to the league. I think he'll be back. The guy we're watching is Melvin Hills, and Melvin Hills is a solid player. Schools should be lining up to get that guy if he does leave. It's just a pretty loaded room. He's got guys in front of him and guys right behind him. That Josiah Sharma, and Moran Charles, and obviously Justice Chair wrote a good article on the freshmen. Man, we should have done a show on that. Did we not do a show on the freshmen?
We covered it a bunch on ITP and Q&A, but we didn't just do like a freshman show.
Okay, yeah. Well, we broke down every freshman, and there's a lot of really good positives about the young D tackles. So I think we could see Hills look for playing time.
We might give that to you for a Saturday show or something. That might be a good topic. All right. And then what was going on with Clark, right? We posted on the board. I think Joe posted on the board, but LSU and retaining guys and da-da-da.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's just chasing the rumors from the LSU board, depending on who got defensive coordinator. If Blake Baker would have taken Tulane, one of prospective defensive coordinators might have gone after Leon Clark. It was a whole bunch of might haves, could haves, ifs, whats.
Is he from Louisiana?
Yeah, he's from Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's tough.
That guy's going to get poached at some point.
Yeah, he's a baller. Yeah.
I think we knew that last spring. Like, okay, let's enjoy him while we can. You better already have a backup plan. He's very important to that room. It's because it's not like PK's down there. Having these strong relationships with Colin Simmons.
Yeah.
PK Lee Allen is important to that room. But
PK is more the chess guy.
Yeah.
And then they've told me that they have to translate for PK sometimes, a player. Because he's such a high level football talker that he's using all this jargon, and the players will turn around and like, that means go forward and then do that. Because he's if you ever watch a coaching clinic, and they're it's when I first started, I was like, this is like another language. It took like 2 years to understand, but sometimes they need to translate PK a little bit because the players are like, I have no idea what this terminology is.
Go listen to Jeff Banks in the clinic. You won't understand a word, man.
Yeah.
Well, also because he talks so fast too. So it's you're still trying to figure out what one word was. He's 30 words down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, PK's a true football nerd. Here's the thing for PK, man. They need to let him pick out his defensive backs coach, pass game coordinator.
Yeah.
There's a couple guys, maybe talk to Justin Wilcox about the two guys they had at Cal. Both those guys are good. There's a guy in the Big 12 I think they should take a look at. So PK, hopefully PK has a major say in who they hire for the first time at safeties coach.
Well, and otherwise you can't evaluate PK. You can only evaluate Sark. And so it's like, that's the point, is like, let's see what, and his one guy was Choate, and that worked out well. And then shout out Choate. He had an awesome press conference about how they pitch players now. And he's straight up, he was like, one of our players went on to make $1.5 million at Oregon. He's like not hiding from it. He's like, you come here and you can get paid. I'm like, he gets it. He's a sharp dude, man. Yeah. Yeah. Choate's awesome. One of the biggest board comebacks of all coaches of all time. It went from fired, damn you to hell, to Choate the GOAT very, very quickly. Linebacker predicting 0 exports. Yeah, this was kind of where I wrote about Brad Spence. Here he's coming back, and that to me that's a very good thing. But we do kind of consider him more of an edge. But he'll have to play. He'll have to play off ball. They're lacking. They're lacking bodies. There's just not a lot of guys in that room. They didn't have I don't know. Johnny Nanson's. I'm still trying to figure out his recruiting thought process. Yeah. But next year you got Leonga, Ty Anthony, but after that, it's terrifying. Because there's no experience. Yeah. You would have to put Brad there, so they need to go portal, bring in an experienced guy, a guy that knows how to do real linebacker things, diagnose, read, shed blocks, that sort of stuff. But yeah, they shouldn't lose anybody in the linebacker room, but there's really not anybody to lose. And they better fight the urge to just take an edge again and then say he's a linebacker. It's like an actual off-ball linebacker. We're good on pass rush. Yeah. We need to find out how ready Bo Barnes is for next year. I've heard good things about him, but I want to get a better sense for his snap count, next season.
Hey, Homer, go find you one of those guys from Northwest, just wants to play smash mouth football to come down and take on people like Georgia when they want to run the ball. I'll meet you in the A gap. Go find one of those guys, because I feel like you got enough guys who can cover and tie into the Smith, the foul line and stuff like that. So go find you a hard nosed linebacker coming straight downhill and lay the pads.
Yeah, get you a psychopath.
Need a box defender.
For sure. All right. Before we go into defensive backs, which this room is really interesting just for the future of the room too. It's a cool room. But before we do that, let's hear a word from our main man, Andre the lawyer. He can help you out.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results. Andre the lawyer.
Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description. Andre, let's get some real commercials going. I want to do those ridiculous over-the-top personal injury lawyer ads. Let's do it with like a bald eagle screeching as well, man. Let's call me. You have my number.
Hey,
all right.
We got some Michael Terry. We got a Michael Terry truther in here.
Oh, here we go. They need to move Michael Terry to running back full-time and use him like a USC Reggie Bush. Sure.
The comment before that is running back room is too thin now. This is all part of the process. You need it to be thin so you can replenish. They've got to go. We're looking for a trade balance here, man. You need exports and imports, and to get imports, you have to have your exports. That's part of it. Michael Terry has been at running back full time, but we're still trying to gather where he's going to be come spring. So he's been at running back. They've used him. They've used him in some wildcat scenarios in practice. He's nothing like Reggie Bush. They're just two totally different sorts of athletes. But they do think that he could be a bigger Ryan Niblett. So if that's kind of what you're getting at, then sure. But we definitely need to figure out what's going on with him for the spring.
He had and I can't remember if it was fall camp. I think it was fall camp where we get the clips, but Texas only lets us post 2 minutes of them. So I end up with a bunch of clips we can't use, but I just get to watch them, which is nice. Michael Terry ran a route from the slot and he looked nice. And I was not expecting that. I thought he was going to be a little slower as a bigger athlete. He moved really, really well. So that's what intrigued me about Michael Terry.
I remember back-to-back reps in August camp. I saw him one run route, and I'm like, oh, man, what's going on here? And then the next one, he runs a vertical, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, okay.
I was not expecting him to have that giddy up either. So I'm curious to see what they do with him. He's a great athlete, very versatile, but it's tough when you're in his position. It's hard to carve out a role because there's always somebody that might be a little bit better at whatever that certain role is, but they can't do all the little things that he can do.
Sugar Poppy, don't worry. I'm not disparaging the ambulance chasers. You guys keep us safe against these corporations that don't pay us what we're worth when we're injured on the job. Come on, man. We need injury attorneys out here. They do good work. I saw Dylan Bell ball out in the SEC championship and thought of Michael Terry immediately. Yeah, Dylan Bell had that. It was a back. He does some cool stuff for them, but gadget receiver that has running back traits. Well, we know Sark likes that, right?
Yeah.
But
Georgia uses him the same way. No, he's a jet sweep guy for Georgia. He's a third down guy for Georgia. He was a former running back. He's like 220, former kid out of Houston. So yeah, I mean, you can use Michael Terry like that, but he has to buy into a position though. I think that's the hardest part. What does he want to play? And then you really got to buy into that. And then
and he's got to make it work in practice.
Yeah.
All right, star position. Grayson Littleton's there now.
I'm almost certain he's going to corner.
I was going to say
I think I've been saying that since September.
So and our own Eric Nalin thinks that it'll be him and Cade, right, at corner most likely to start. So what do we do at star going forward, and how does that affect over-unders?
Yeah, well, this is going to be the second year in a row we're really, really not concerned, but, questioning what the plan is. If Wardell Mack doesn't come back, I think Wardell Mack would be starting next year, but I think he's frustrated by the fact that he didn't play much because of Grayson Littleton. And it's not like there's any animosity between him and Grayson. It's just, hey, man, I'm ready to play too. Yeah. And we have heard that he's ready to play, and he just didn't see the field much. So we're curious to see if he hits the portal or not. And then behind him, it's, you got Jonathan Cunningham, who's played both safety and star. I don't see him playing star next year outside of maybe when they go to that bigger star look. Jordan Johnson-Rebel could get a look there as well. But Wardell Mack is what we're watching for in the portal at that position. But also, yeah, man, what we saw from Kobe Black against A&M, where he was one of the best players on the field, maybe he could get a look at star. Or maybe they potentially leave Grayson there at star and put Cade and Kobe at corner. They got to figure out, and star and corner are pretty much the same thing. That's why this conversation bleeds into one another. They got to figure out that, what Kobe Black is going to do, because, 3 weeks ago, if you would ask me what Kobe Black is going to do, I would have guessed portal. Right now, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, he made some nice plays. He had really good awareness too, man. Like on that interception, he came off his guy and made the play. On that big hit, he came off his guy and made the play. And me and Ian were like, I don't know, man. He's showing safety awareness, but you can't call a corner a safety. It's against the law, dude. It's against the law.
That awareness and that physicality, that translates to star too. And you can still, because you've got Janae Barron, who played that position for years, you can't say, hey, Kobe Black can't be thinking I'm too good to play star. Well, all right, well, it was good enough for Janae Barron, who won the fourth, and went in the first round. I don't think we're going to see him at safety. Ian is always trying to move guys that have no intention of moving. That's an Ian thing. But yeah, I don't know. They've also got Warren Roberson there. So we're watching for potential portal with Santana Wilson. Caleb Chester's only a true freshman, but I don't know. It's a longer path to the field. They've got, Cade and Grayson are NFL guys 100%. Kobe might be an NFL guy as well. So, I mean, if he plays like that, we need to see him carrying vertical routes. They didn't seem to. That's kind of been the issue with him. He was playing a lot of things downhill and in front of him. Well, he can do that, but we need to see him against a more vertical threat. And then Warren Roberson is talented as heck. And as this guy JSOA, Jay, is this like a Sons of Anarchy thing? Yeah, can we? I'm with you. Except, I mean, love somebody like Jeff Banks loves Warren Roberson on special teams.
Well, I mean, we covered him on film studies. I mean, he was blanketing guys in man coverage. You see why they love him. Like, the athleticism is awesome, man, and he can play real man across the field against good A&M receivers. So that, to me, is the upside there, if you can just get him to not kill you with penalties. But there's no question about his ability on the field. All right, so corner star, we hit kind of together as a tandem, makes sense. And then,
hold on a sec. These guys can wrap his hands in athletic tape. You know how when baseball players get on first base and they're going to steal a base and they put the things on their hands, so when they steal, they don't get their hands stepped on.
No,
that's what he needs, whatever those are called. So he can't get too grabby on special teams.
Yeah, poor Warren.
All right, safety. This is a big position of intrigue for me. Of course, want to get McDonald back. Who knows? Eric might, but you got Taft leaving, and then some potential guys that could leave here at over under a 1.5. But to me, it's a big portal position. And I think Sark said maybe on a safety portal, but I was like, 100%.
Yeah, I dissected that press conference from Sark because, he's in such a tough spot right now, dude. You're trying to retain all your guys. You don't want to go out and publicly say what you're looking at in the portal, what your needs are. He's just in a tough spot. He dumbed down some of that, and I don't entirely blame him. Yeah, I think Jelani's closer to coming back than leaving. I think he's getting some good advice. NIL's obviously got to be there. That could be the thing that puts it over the top, but that's what it has to be, right? Because he's turning down money, whether or not he'd be drafted where he wants to be. Right. Maybe it's smarter to come back. It's still turning down immediate money, right? So just get that right, and I think he's going to come back, be the leader in that room. It's another position where, hey, we want to see who the hell is coaching him. It's not going to be Dwayne Aquina, so who's the coach going to be? That's going to be a factor. Outside of that, I don't think, Derek Williams, of course, that's that. But to me, that's tied to Dwayne Aquina as well. So
if Aquina leaves, that alleviates some of that tension, right?
Right.
Yeah. If Aquina's back, then Derek Williams might as well be back home in Louisiana right now. He's not coming back. So yeah, let's see what happens there. I think I don't think we've seen the best of Derek Williams as far as what he can be after his injury. And I don't think that he just didn't have a great relationship with Aquina. Not that anybody else did either. So we just got to figure out that Jelani, and you get Jelani back. There's just a lot of bodies, man. You can make something work with that second one, but I would like to see some experience added through the portal.
And then Jordan Johnson, Rubel, playing time thing potentially.
I think he'll be back just because he's kind of a really bought in UT kid, it seems like, and they've been working with him to try to find ways to get him on the field. He's spent time at star. They've messed with him at like linebacker in sort of a hybrid role, and safety, of course. He's kind of a glue guy. They love him on special teams, so I think they can probably keep him. I'm not entirely sure though.
We saw, even though it was against Sam Houston State, you saw him late in the games. Like, he can play. He can read and diagnose very well. He has great awareness playing back there. So I think he's one of those guys. If he doesn't play by year 3, maybe he hit the portal. But man, I think he's good enough to play. But you got Jonah Williams. You got so many bodies. You got the young guys coming in. Where do they all fit at, right? Unless you're going to continue to rotate like you do, it's kind of tough.
JJR, despite not being the biggest kid, could play that bigger nickel role. That nickel where they put Jelani there, he can play that. He's kind of compact and physical and tough. I'm not sure if he plays it like full time like Grayson did, when they're just in the regular base defense. But he's got a lot of value add.
Good question. Who's the glue guy at IT? I think it had to be Joe, right? Because Joe's like the central nervous system. So like Joe is like everything emanates from Joe. He's like connected to all parts. I'm just on the video side. Joe's on the board side, but also dabbles in video. I think it's got to be Joe as the glue guy here.
Yeah, Joe's definitely the glue guy. And when he gets a little spastic, it's probably that I'm in his ear a little bit. Yeah, Joe. I think I put him in a panic the other day, but
yeah. Joe's gotta be Joe, and Joe's just such a reasonable, sweet guy. Like he's awesome to work with. Joe's the man. Even though Joe got a little fired up yesterday with Notre Dame getting that guaranteed that very rare Joe Cook fired up moment. You don't see it often.
Yeah, Joe's the Labrador at IT for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and then some questions. So, like, we're in the brave new world of portal. Like, we literally have a bowl game coming up, but we're in off-season mode. For some of these dominoes, like coaching or player negotiation stuff, do you have any concept of when these will crystallize? Are these after the games? Are these before? Or you have no idea?
Negotiating will happen because you got to keep the guys out of the portal. The portal opens January 2nd to the 16th. First of all, you've got to be negotiating with your guys when other schools are doing it too, right? So if they're going after your guys, you better be negotiating on that timeline. But yeah, there's a lot of talks happening right now, all over the place. I'm quite certain that agents are shopping their players all over, including schools like Texas, and they have a pretty decent idea of who's available, what the costs are. Once you get that, you can kind of set a market value for your own guys. There's a lot going on. And then as far as any coaching turnover, I could see that happening after the bowl. But Sark would certainly have a plan. In 2023. Jeff Choate got hired on at Nevada and then stayed to coach the playoff game. But Sark had Johnny Nansen lined up 3 weeks in advance. So for all we know, Sark could already have a good idea of what he's going to do, certainly at safety coach. And then, I'm not – Bevo guy asked, is Akina expected to not return? Yes, he's expected to not return, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So the ones we have questions about, Akina – Chris Jackson, because his contract's up, right? And then maybe Flood. Those are kind of the big three right now.
Maybe Flood, and then there's also the potential of a surprise one, but I don't want to get people's hopes up on that. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a really wild December. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, but a lot of things are trending in the right direction. But yeah, we need to see what happens with. Flood is kind of, to me, like the fulcrum of what is going to happen. We expect Akina to be gone. Wide receiver, that would be a tough loss for that room. Chris Jackson is well liked, but you can overcome a wide receiver hire. Flood, that would mean Sark has to find a new coach that he has to get to know. You spend a lot of spring getting to know that guy's coaching points. Philosophies. He's got a lot of familiarity with Flood. I think that was actually a negative this last offseason. He trusted him too much, but there's also a negative side of replacing such an important coach too.
It's also a weird position because like offensive coordinators are pretty much like, I can coach wide receiver if I need to. It's different with offensive line. It's like there's a different knowledge base. They really have to work hand in hand with their OCs. It's a little bit different in that regard. So I think that's a big thing. I'm trying to think of Sark's presser yesterday, said he would evaluate the program. He named kind of every aspect of it, strength and conditioning, coaching, all of that. So I thought that was a positive. I'm hyper aware of any Sark stubbornness right now because I think there should be significant changes. And so I think he did good there. The only time I didn't like it when he said some positions will look in the portal and some were maybes. But Eric points out, hey, there's some realities here of running an organization. But I thought he did a good job too of not too sour grapes. He went hard politicking before, and then once it was done, he was kind of like, all right, look, we just got to win more, which I think is the right thing, opposed to our brethren up north at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I don't agree with the sitting out thing. That's crazy.
When he was talking about the program audit, the first thing he mentioned was offense and play calls and scheme.
Yeah.
So that tells us that he's been thinking a lot about his own personal processes, not just the team processes. So that was interesting to me.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big factor. And then, bring the spring games back. Quit doing this. Everyone got a light spring. How did that work out? So you also got a light December too. So bring the spring games back.
The spring game didn't do anything, but now we're going to find out since there's no spring portal window.
Well, I'm saying exactly, it didn't do anything. So give me the spring game, because all you did was hurt my feelings, and we still aren't playing through December. So give me the spring games back. They don't need to be. Y'all don't need to be hitting, but y'all just go out there, man. Have some fun. That autograph session stuff was for 6-year-olds, man. What grown men need their entertainment, all right? I don't care about these children getting autographs. They can get them on the side before. We had best of both worlds. Can't get better at ball without playing ball. A coach was saying that too. That I was like,
go scrimmage Texas State. Go give me a real live scrimmage in spring against somebody else.
Do whatever Georgia is doing. We were talking about culture, kind of arguing culture in the group chat this morning. It's like, well, Georgia figures it out with a slate of criminals. They're able to make it work.
A bit different.
We're the only one that need just a squad of choir boys to make the culture work here. Whatever Georgia's doing, those psychopaths over there, they're balling out. Eric, any thoughts on Notre Dame?
I mean, they should join a conference. They're already getting preferential treatment by not having to be in a conference, and then they're getting preferential treatment by making the playoffs. Evidently, next year they'll make the playoffs if they're in the top 11. So that's nonsense.
Why are they talked about like the golden goose? Because like you look at TV viewership. Like there's several. Like you look at most valuable programs. Texas is always ahead of them on that. Texas has more viewership. Alabama has more view. Why are they treated like, well, of course they can be independent. They're Notre Dame. It's like, well, where is this bearing out in the metrics? Because to me, they're like a sixth level, like 6. And when we're talking numbers and money and all that, why do they get this like, well, of course Notre Dame gets to do that? It's weird to me. If they were number 1 across the board, sure, but they're not.
Yeah, I thought the same thing about TV viewership yesterday. I'm like, why are they still getting this? I understand why they used to get it. They had their own TV deal. With NBC, it was every single game in Notre Dame. That's how they created so many fans. It's kind of like you got random people living in the middle of nowhere, Chicago Cubs fans because of WGN, or Atlanta Braves fans in the middle of nowhere because of TBS. You had Notre Dame fans everywhere because they had NBC, and you knew that you were going to get a Notre Dame game on TV every week. But yeah, it's not the 80s anymore. It's not the 90s. It's not even 2000s. So yeah, it's nonsense. Everybody needs to push back on it and say, join a conference like everybody else. Play by the same rules, man.
Yeah, and they can likely just, if I was Notre Dame, what I would do was real devious. I would join, like, not even the American. They're too good. I would join whatever G5. I would schedule one Power 5, win it, and then just be like, look, we're going to be the highest ranked conference championship. But they really game that schedule, and what they're able to do, and this is their psychological trick. They schedule some pretty hard teams early, respectable teams early, and if they win, then they'll coast all season and say we won. Yeah. But if they lose, they say, well, we got way better during the season. You need to evaluate us now. So they can't be wrong with how they play that game. And that's all you heard the pundits. Well, Notre Dame looked really good down the stretch. It's like, this is all by design. They're sneaky, dude. And I am glad that finally they were like, you know what? You're going to be punished for not playing this game, especially because you're not number 1 in everything. It doesn't make sense. Like, I know you're a cell, but you're not some head and shoulders cell above. There's 5 teams that could go independent and do more right now.
Yeah, Alabama blew everybody away as far as TV viewership. And you didn't really see them or hear them crying and politicking.
Yeah.
They didn't really have to, but.
Yeah, Bama gets the benefit of the doubt. But
always.
What do y'all think about the conference games can only help you, not hurt you? To me, it's like, sure, if you lose by 3 or 10, but to see like context, every game's context has to matter. And so it's that thing. Now, Sankey would have burned it all down. So I get the politics of why, but it's like there's a difference losing your conference game by 3 and getting smoked. And so it's like to just say that that's not even a data point is weird. Like nobody saw that. That's a weird way of thinking. I think you need to take in all games and the context of the games, not just you can only advance your station. And what's the difference? Bama's not a good example because they did play and beat Georgia earlier in the year.
Right.
But what's the difference for a team that didn't? What's the difference because when Texas has to play the SEC championship midseason versus you play? We both had to play them. They were both good. Just because you're in the Magic game, it doesn't matter, but it did matter in the seat. You get what I'm saying? That's the thing too that I think is a weird concept. Doesn't work for Bama though. They did beat Georgia early, but
yeah, it don't make sense to me. I'm glad like BYU didn't get in, right? Like you got blew out twice by Texas Tech. So a lot of teams they get hotter than some teams kind of fizzle out. So they get blown out in the championship game because maybe they're just not as good. I don't think they deserve to go. It should hurt them.
But it was funny that they were like the Big 12 conference game. That one matters.
That one matters.
SEC though, how could we leave out an SEC? We can't count it's like they're just so inconsistent across the board.
Very.
And like I said, let Bama be in. I do think they're one of the better teams, so I'm not trying to pick on Bama. But they're just so inconsistent across the board. BYU's loss, we're going to count that. Alabama's, it's like the game didn't even happen. Everyone remains in the same spot. Very weird. Not a big committee fan. Everyone, you're going to be a big fan of Inside Texas, and you can join for $1. That's not even a lot of money, guys. That's just a very little amount of money. New members only. We'd love to see you over there. Of course, Eric has been dropping awesome off-season intel. Then we're going to start gearing up for Michigan. We got a month for them. You guys are going to know that team like it's your favorite team. So come over to Inside Texas, join for just $1. And this was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Everyone have a wonderful Monday. Peace out.